morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode. My name is Dana, and my guest today is Vikram. And Vikram, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Vikram Venkatsubaramaniam, founder and CEO of Nandi Security. We are an online privacy and security company for connected homes and small businesses.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I thought you froze up there for a minute. All right. So we're doing a presentation here today. So Victor's going to be in charge of the slides. I'm going to be in charge of asking the questions. And one of the first things we're going to ask is, why do we need to lock down internet connected devices in our home? And I think this is a very good point because a lot of people don't realize about all the vulnerabilities that are out there. So I'm excited that we're talking about this. So take it away.
Absolutely, right? So first and foremost, money talks, right? So cybercrime is a $6 trillion business when you look at all the losses as well as the amount of money being spent on protecting various companies and entities around the world, right? But also when we talk specifically about the home, why is the home important? Because we have nice juicy targets, right? Personally, our identity is valuable for scammers. Our money is valuable to anybody who wants to steal from us. Our online presence in terms of various accounts that we have could be taken over for malicious purposes for use against either us or use against other entities. Maybe they could take over your account and attack somebody else or some other company. And last but not the least, we have to understand everything in the home today is a computer, which means that it has storage, network, and computing, be whatever the kind of device it is, right? And which means that that computer can be taken over and put to use for whatever purpose the hackers want to. And enterprises, etc., have large budgets and large infrastructure, security infrastructure to protect their devices and their people, but houses don't, right? And an average home today has enough storage, network, and computing to rival a small enterprise from 20 years back, and is way less protected than an enterprise was 20 years back. So it's an easy, juicy target that anybody can take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. And when we're home, we feel safe.
Exactly. And then we don't make it easy. We don't make it harder for the bad guys as well, right? We keep increasing that infrastructure. So the average connected home today has about 25 connected devices. Deloitte did a survey that revealed that average number of connected devices per home is 25 and growing. The average person today has about 40 apps on their mobile device alone. I'm well over that number myself. And then none of us lock the front doors to our home on the digital front, right? Meaning uh, 83% of routers in the US are vulnerable, and it's vulnerable in one of two ways. One is either people didn't change the default password of the manufacturer, or two, maybe they change it and they don't update the patches and security updates that they need to put in on a regular basis. So on both those fronts, it's very easy to be able to identify a specific home and be able to get in either through an app, website, or maybe a device or a router themselves. Then we got to understand that, hey, okay, maybe somebody asks a question, hey, how does somebody even find me, right? Well, it turns out we are telling everybody about ourselves all the time. Our devices collect information constantly. The average app collects about 24 pieces of information about each of us on any given day. In my home, at least, there are over 200 different companies that collect and trade my information on over 5,000 times a day, right? So this information is available to anybody who asks, whether it's for a marketing company or a hacker, right? And if you think about what that means, why this is important for each of us, we just look at the problem of account takeovers, not even identity theft, account takeovers. If your account gets taken over, on average, it takes about $290 and 15 hours for you to recover from an account takeover. So net is, I think people are frustrated. We ran our own survey. 86% of the respondents basically threw up their hands and said, we have absolutely no way of staying secure and private in our homes, and we have no solutions that we have available. So it's more about, I think it's very important that people start to realize, get beyond that frustration, identify the size of the repercussions, and start to learn and get educated about what they can do for absolutely free in order to stay safe online. And I know you have a bunch of questions coming up, but across all questions, I do want to point out one element that is very, 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 very important, which is passwords. Right? Passwords are in everything: apps, devices, websites, etc. It's very hard to remember passwords. We all understand that, but you've got to understand that the the tools that are available and the computing capabilities that are available to hackers makes it ridiculously easy for them to be able to hack passwords, right? So my recommendation is at least 11 characters that include uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and letters, symbols in your password, so that you just increase that cost, right? So at the 11 character in this table, as you can see, at the 11 character level, you've just increased the complexity of cracking your password to about 34 years. So unless the hacker gets really lucky, a brute force methodology is going to take them a really long time to be able to crack your password once you start to hit the 11 character limit. And anything higher than that, you're just going to make yourself much more secure.
Now, one thing I want to say real quick is that I know I'm going to get crucified for this, but when we look at the amount of risk exposure is, you come up with this crazy password and then we need to make sure we don't use it again. And people say, well, if I'm not going to use it again, and every single account has to be completely different, and I don't feel comfortable using a password manager, which I do recommend people use a password manager. But if they don't, now this is the part that people are going to say, I can't believe you're saying this. If you write it down on a piece of paper and you keep that paper very close, near and dear to you, the only risk exposure you have are the immediate people around you, or if someone steals your wallet, steals your purse, steals whatever you're keeping this little secret code in. And people say, I can't believe you tell somebody to write that down. I'm not saying write it down and stick it on your computer. I'm saying write it down and put it somewhere that only you are going to be able to see. And then people will at least have a little bit more confidence that they're going to remember the password, because that's obviously what the biggest fear is. And they need to have different passwords for different accounts, because if one gets hacked, now everybody has that crazy long, difficult password, and they can get into some of your other accounts. Okay. That's my little soapbox for my handwritten password thing.
And I don't disagree. And I mean, at the end of the day, what there are levels of security, and having one password across all and that password being password is like the lowest level of security. And what you're recommending here is at least it's a lot more secure than that, right? Or even having a slightly less complex password or highly reused password as well, right? So if it's written down, you put it in an actual physical safe, and every 3 months you go into that safe, change all your passwords, and put the new passwords back into the safe. That's much better hygiene than what most people have today. So I wouldn't shoot this idea down at all.
Good. Okay, I feel better now. All right. So our next question. So what are 5 things we need to change on our laptops, desktops, computers to stay more secure and private?
Absolutely, right. So there are a whole bunch of things that people can do, but I'm just going to focus on like top 5 things that I think are important or maybe may largely overlooked. Um, First of all, patches and updates. The vendors that put the software on your laptops and devices and desktops constantly put out patches and updates. It's always good to have them auto update or auto install, uh, and it's important to do that for both not just the features but also for the security updates that they put out. So this is extremely crucial. Second, the most common two uses of laptops and desktops in your home are email and web browsing, right? And web browsing for various websites and accounts, services that we access. So whether it's email or anything that requires a login, wherever possible, highly, highly, highly recommend two-factor authentication. In this day and age, there are plenty of authenticator apps that are completely free from some major vendors out there. And if a specific email client or a website supports it, always use it because it's available for free. Third, delete or uninstall apps that you're not using. A lot of times you get laptops with a whole bunch of apps that are pre-installed. Many of these, especially on Windows-based laptops, tend to be very egregious in terms of the amount of data they extract or what they do on your machine, etc. If you have never used them or you don't plan to use them, um, I would highly recommend deleting anything that you do not use, simply because of it's a security risk being another piece of software. It has its own vulnerabilities. Number two, it's also a privacy risk in that it can, having access to your entire laptop, it can access a lot of your information. And if you're not using that company or service, why reveal anything more to them than you have to? Um, Fourth, this is a lot more labor, but it's still free, right? And I think the more and more we do it and get into hygiene of doing it, is better, which is to review and understand all your device security and privacy settings. Uh, Look, this is a very hard one, right? I mean, if we were to actually read every privacy policy and terms of service that we click through in a year, Research has shown that it will take you 76 full days to read all of those terms of service and privacy policy. So yeah, we click through it, etc. But at least you can look through the devices that you get and what settings they have, what settings they expose to allow you to make it a little bit more private. So if a device lets you set a password and maybe a fingerprint on top of it, use it. If there are apps that will don't need specific settings in terms of what they need to access on your laptop or desktop, turn it off. Right? Understand what you're using a specific application or device for, and give what we call least privilege to everything else on that device. And last, this one is a big one. Uh, I still see so many people who pick up USB sticks at conferences and stick it without second thought into their laptops. I would go to the extent of not just saying, do not stick USB drives into your laptop. Do not even charge your phones or laptops on USB power in coffee shops or airplanes or hotels either, right? USB drives or USB connectors are the single biggest, or one of the biggest sources of malware to enter into your laptop. So if it's not from a store, you went to the store, you broke the packaging, and you have formatted that USB drive, and now you're ready to put that into your laptop. Outside of that scenario, never stick a USB drive in.
Mhm.
Are you having a hard time finding new customers? A lot of folks just like you in the IT and cybersecurity space are in the same situation. And they have embraced a new opportunity to get new clients. They're doing this by growing their online presence and maximizing the power of LinkedIn. How, you ask? I have a tried and tested method called my Cyber Social Program. I myself have been on LinkedIn and now have over 3.5 million LinkedIn views, and over on YouTube, I have over 750,000 video views. So I can show you exactly how I have done that so that you can promote your organization and become the authority in your industry. And the best part is, I've done all of this organically without one paid ad. You don't need to waste your money over on Google with pay-per-click ads. Now's the time to establish yourself. Look around. The competition isn't doing it. This is your time to shine online before they do. So if you're ready to start your online journey and future-proof your business, please, down below, click the link and schedule a time for us to have a 45-minute call where I can review the exact methodology of the Cyber Social Program. You can also click below to see some of my masterclasses, which will give you quick little snippets of a couple of things you can do right away on LinkedIn that will help with your profile. I hope to see you and hear from you soon.
Okay, so that was very, very good. And that, again, that was just stuff that's just going to take a little bit of your time. Wasn't going to cost you anything, but they're very, very important things to do.
Yeah.
And all right, so here, what are 5 things we need to change on our smartphones? I touch base on this a lot to stay more secure and private, because this is a hot mess here.
Yes, absolutely, right. I mean, this thing is an extension of our palms these days, right? So again, a whole bunch here that needs to be done across various different apps, services, default settings, etc. But let me just hit the big ones, right? Let me hit 5 big ones. First of all, there are still millions and millions of people in this world who are installing apps from various different sources other than trusted app stores. So I would beg everybody to recognize which vendor or 1 or 2 trusted vendors, and only go install apps from there. This doesn't mean every app there is trustworthy. There are still lots of malicious apps on these app stores as well, but at least these apps are cleared a first level of check by these vendors prior to being made available on these app stores. Second is very, very important. This is what I just referred to as the principle of least privilege. And this is something people need to start getting very familiar with and part of their hygiene across all of their devices. If you have an app, say it's a gaming app, and if that app says it needs access to your search history and your geolocation, why, right? Question that and turn off every setting. There are plenty of these apps that access settings that they are not supposed to. And there are plenty of apps that access settings that they say they don't access as well. I mean, TikTok got caught just for accessing the pace buffer, right? Even though they said they were not accessing it. So there are lots of apps that do it for malicious purposes, a lot of apps that do it for marketing purposes. But if that feature, say geolocation, search history, your contact list, your payment information. If that's not required for the functioning of the app and specifically your use of the app, do not enable it, turn it off. Third, same as laptops, delete unused apps. A lot of vendors have started removing them if you're not used them in a while, but they're not uninstalled. They're still just removed from the device temporarily. I think you need to uninstall it so that it deletes all the data and loses access to your account as well. Fourth, this is super critical. A lot of people are still practicing this billions of times a day, which is they take pictures and post pictures on social media, on group chats, etc., without realizing that the geolocation is always embedded. Now, this is very critical because that geolocation can identify the exact location of your home, where maybe your kids go to school, maybe where you're on vacation right now, all that kind of stuff. So even if you didn't reveal it intentionally, understand that the pictures are saying more than 1,000 words that you're not seeing as well.
How do people do that? Because I know that this is a big thing, especially for
Yeah.
kids' phones and things along that. What's the easiest way to go about this? Because this sounds so complicated. Remove geolocation. They're like, I have no idea what that even means.
Yep.
So how's the easiest way to go about doing that?
So on both Apple and Google Android phones, you can, while you take pictures or even within the camera app, you can actually turn off a setting that says turn off geolocation, or in the settings of the phone, there's one setting that says turn off geolocation for the camera app, right? So it's that simple. There are also free apps out there on these stores where you can you can download the app and then have that app access a picture, and it'll strip out not just geolocation. There's also a whole bunch of data called EXIF data attached to EXIF data attached to every picture that you take. So there are apps that will go out there and strip that all out completely, anything that's identifying privacy violating or even all aspects of it, right? So you don't want to reveal what kind of devices you used or what kind of camera you used, etc. You may want to remove that as well, right? So there are EXIF stripping apps also out there. Only word of caution: when it's free, understand what's in it for them, right? But if it's a well curated app and from a reputable vendor, then you should be able to use those as well.
All right.
And then last one is this is crucial. Every phone, whether it's Android or Apple, comes with this thing called an Ad ID. Different vendors may call it different other names, but essentially what it is, it's a unique tracker for your specific phone that's used to identify your device to marketeers. So why is this important? Because with this unique identifier, even though they may not know your name at that point in time, they can actually identify exactly who you are, your name, where you live, or your age, etc. There is a way to reset this or even turn it off, depending on the vendor. At the minimum, once a month, go reset it so that it keeps scrambling that number and you're not identifying your behaviors to various different vendors in a very unique fashion. At least it makes it a little bit harder for them. And remember, they're happy to sell this to whoever that asks. So the more you reveal to them by not resetting it, the more you give away. Right. So there's either an easy setting to be able to reset it or an easy setting to be able to turn it off completely. So depending on your device vendor, look for this in your settings and turn it off or reset it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I did a presentation the other day. A lot of people didn't even know that this existed. And I think you also need to go into not only the phone, but also going into your Google account and setting it that way too, because people didn't even realize that you could track that. So that's very, very good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Awesome.
All right, so here we go. What are 5 things we need to change on smart TVs? And this, I bet a lot of people are not even thinking of, to stay more secure and private.
Absolutely. So smart TV is a computer. Let's all realize that, right? My first recommendation, and this might scare, it's not intended to scare people, but this might scare people. There are television vendors and television models that have FBI warnings on them. So just as much you go online and check the reviews and the features for your television, go to the FBI website and also check to see if there are warnings on these devices. Remember, these things are computers, and some of them come with cameras, microphones, and additional capabilities as well, right? So if there are security warnings, FBI warnings on these devices, please check it and make an informed choice.
Wait. So you're saying to go to the FBI website
Yeah.
and look for your kind of TV?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't know
Absolutely.
they had such a thing on there. That's good to know.
Yeah, FBI puts out warnings on various devices, various models, etc. When they find like very critical or very suspicious capabilities, and it's always good to go check that before you buy any such device.
Good advice.
Second is patches and updates. It's a computer. So patches and updates that the vendor of the TV provides, but also remember, this thing has a whole bunch of pre-installed apps. It is a computer, right? So make sure that you're always updating the security patches and updates that each of those pre-installed app vendors also provide. Third, delete unused apps. I found this on my own TV. I've owned this smart TV for well over 5 years. There were apps on this TV that I'd never launched, never utilized, never subscribed to, that were collecting information about my viewing habits on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. When we connected my house to my product, we were able to discover these communications happening. And when I looked into where these apps are coming from, they were coming from my television. And so there are all these apps and services that are collecting information about you as well, which if you're not using these services, there's absolutely no reason for you to allow that to happen in your home, because your viewing habits can reveal exactly how many people are in the home, what are their genders, what are their sexual orientations, what are your interests, when you're home, when you're not home, right? All of these can be gleaned very simply, as well as your geographic location, because it is based on your IP address as well, right? So once they know all of these, this can be correlated with any other data that can be purchased from the data brokers and can be used to uniquely identify you specifically, right? So
Crazy.
The more information you reveal, the less information that you reveal, the better for you. Fourth, this is a little bit complex to do, but it's free. So everybody's home router has multiple different networks on it. So for example, on the Netgear, you may have a Netgear 5G and a Netgear 3G, etc. And then you may have a guest network as well. Look at all your devices in your home, and I consider a TV as a non-essential device. My laptops and my mobile phones are essential because I access banking on them, I access financial accounts on them, I access other accounts on them. Whereas on my television, I'm not doing that. I'm just watching stuff. So all partition your devices in your home into essential and non-essential network, and put the TV on the non-essential network or a lower priority network. That way, it has less access to other devices in the home and has less access to your information other than the viewing habits. So I would always recommend what is called doing network segmentation on your home network. It's completely free to do, and it's available on every router pretty much for the last decade or so. Last one, just like your phone has an advertiser ID, your television has an ad ID, or it may be called a personal subscriber ID. Different vendors call it different things. If you look into your privacy settings or inside your settings of your television, you will be able to identify it. Or more specifically, if you look at the terms of service in your television, it'll talk about it and give you the exact name of the setting, and you'll be able to find that setting and turn it off. So wherever possible, turn it off. If it's not possible to turn it off, then just like you would do in a phone, make sure you reset it on a monthly basis so that you are at least trying to scramble the information or make it non-unique every month.
Just real quick, I want to mention, so that setting the whole separate network, that sounds like, whoa, that's very, very confusing. But let's say, for example, you have Comcast as your, internet provider, your TV, your cable, whatever, everything. And then you have a Comcast router. If you log into your Comcast account, it will show you how to do all these things. And there are people there that are there to help if you need to call or chat on the computer or whatever. Because it sounds like it's very, very overwhelming and intimidating. If people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'll screw something up. But if you do, just find out who it is. If it's whoever provides your cable, if you still have cable, it's probably the same person that gave you your router. So just want to say it's a little easier than it probably seems.
Absolutely. This is one thing that the internet service providers will be on your side when it comes to securing your devices.
All right. Well, this was great. This
awesome.
was really, yeah. This is information that everybody needs to watch, and they need to share with all of their, family members, their elder parents, their kids, everybody that's in the house. And so thank you for that. So do you want to touch base a little bit on your product here?
Absolutely. So our product, it's an online privacy and security product. The way we look at it is we have to address privacy in the home in order to address security in the home. Because if you are we are going if the home is going to reveal a ton of information about you, it makes it easier to hack you. So we block everything that we think is unnecessary for the functioning of the devices in your home automatically, right? So there is no software to install, no devices to buy. You just change one setting on your home router and you're done. Every device in your home is protected from a privacy and security perspective. On average, we find that 10% of all the internet traffic in your home on any given 24-hour period is complete junk, maybe malicious, maybe privacy violating, and we identify and block all of those.
That is fantastic. So anybody who's watching that is interested in finding out more about this product, go to Nandi Security and you can find out more there. And it sounds like an excellent product for everybody to have in their house. So thank you, Vikram, for your time. I really appreciate this. And again, this is really, really good stuff for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.